This is Algebra 2, Lesson 5, homework help. I'm on page 41. We're starting with number 5. 5/7 of the Tartar rode horses. So, who rode? 5/7. Who did not ride? 2/7. For a total of 7/7 or 1. That's the total. So, 5/7 of the whole horde rode horses. Now, there were 140,000 total in the horde. How many did not ride horses? So you're going to cross multiply. We're going to ignore this top row. And it's 2/7 times 140,000 equals 1x. All right, number 10. Is negative 3x to the 0 power times 2x minus 3 minus negative 2 to the 0 power. Notice the 0 is inside the parentheses, so that reads the opposite of 2 to the 0. So this is going to be negative 1. If it were negative 2 to the 0, that would be positive 1. All right? Minus 2 equals 5 times x minus 3 to the 0 power times 2. This x to the 0 is going to be 1. This 2 to the 0 is going to be 1. So let's distribute negative 3 to both of those terms. So it's negative 6x plus 9. That's minus negative 1, which is plus 1, minus 2 equals... Ben just fussing at Cody, the baby. All right, this is going to be 1 as well, so we're just going to multiply 5 times negative 1. So we have 5x minus, nope, we can't. We got to keep this in parentheses because we also have to multiply by 2. So actually, really what I want to do is it's 5 times what's in parentheses times 2. So the commutative property, I'm looking back at the problem to make sure that's correct. Yes. Commutative property says I can multiply 5 times 2 then by what is inside the parentheses. So that's what I'm going to do. And make that like that. All right. On the left-hand side, I'll combine my like terms. Negative 6x. That's 10 minus 2, which is 8. Now we'll distribute the 10. That's 10x minus 10. We'll move the x's to the right. So we'll add 6x. And we'll add 10. So we have 18 is 16x. We'll divide both sides by 16. And then you'd simplify that. Both are divisible by 2. So that would be 9/8. All right. Let's move on to number 14. Number 14 is negative 3 minus 3 to the 0 power. That is just going to be 1. Minus 3 squared times 2x minus 5 minus negative 2x minus 3 equals negative x to the 0 power. That x to the 0 is just going to be 1. It's going to be a negative, but the negative stays because it's not in parentheses, times x minus 3. All right? So this is negative 3 minus 1. Minus 3 squared, which is 9. That's what we will distribute to what's inside the parentheses. We can eliminate this parentheses by distributing the negative. That becomes plus 2x plus 3. This is really negative 1, so I can distribute negative 1 to both of those terms, and it's negative x plus 3. Now we'll go back and distribute the negative 9, but we can combine negative 3 and negative 1. Actually, I have a positive 3 over here, so it eliminates. So it's just negative 1 minus 18x plus 45 plus 2x equals negative x plus 3. All right, let's combine our like terms. That's negative 16x, and 45 and negative 1 is 44 equals negative x plus 3. I will move my x's to the right. I'll add 16x. Ben just dying to get out of being locked up with Cody. And we'll subtract 3 on both sides. So 41 equals 15x. Divide both sides by 15. I think you cannot simplify 41 over 15. All right, number 16. Very bottom of page 41. Order of operations. Following the order of operations is very important. All right, number 16. Negative 3 times x minus 2 minus 3 times 2 plus 2 times x minus 3 times x minus 2 equals 7 times x minus 5. All right. I'm going to simplify inside the parentheses before I distribute that negative 3. So it's going to be x. This is going to be minus 2 minus 3 times 2, which is 6. So it's minus 2 minus 6, which gives me minus 8, plus 2 times x. I'm going to distribute the negative 3. Minus 3x plus 6 equals, we can distribute the 7. So it's 7x minus 35. I can go ahead and distribute the numbers outside the parentheses so we can eliminate the parentheses. So distributing the negative 3 is negative 3x plus 24. We'll distribute the 2. That's plus 2x minus 6x plus 12 equals 7x minus 35. Now we'll combine our like terms. So we have negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1 minus 6. That's negative 7x. Then we have 24 and 12, which is plus 36, equals 7x minus 35. I'm going to move my x's to the right, so we'll add 7x on both sides. And we will add our 35 on both sides, so that we end up with 71 equals 14x. Divide both sides by 14. Does 71 go into 14? Does 14 actually go into 71? The most it would go to get a 1. We can't get a 1. I think that is as simplified as we can get. All right, on to number 18. Shh, Ben. Shh. All right, top of next page. Page 42. 18. Ax squared over b times c squared a to the negative 1 over b minus 3ac over b. All right, we'll distribute numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator. Shh, shh. All right, I just let them out. They'll probably run wild. That's okay. All right, multiplication is addition. So for our A term, it's 1 minus 1, which is 0, so that's 1. I don't have to write it. Then I'm left with x squared, c squared, and my denominator, b squared. All right, then I multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. It's 3. We have a and a, so that's a squared, x squared c over b squared. And those are not like terms. That'll look good to me. They do have a common denominator. You could move the sign up and put them over the common denominator, x squared c squared minus 3, a squared x squared c, all over the one common denominator, b squared, but you don't have to do that. All right, number 22. Number 22. All right, x squared xy over y to the negative 2 minus 3x to the 5th over xy to the negative 3 plus 7x to the 7th over y cubed x to the 4th. So the first thing we'll do is combine all of our variables, make them our exponents all positive. So in the numerator, we're going to have x cubed. Now, I have y to the first power in the numerator, y to the negative 2 in the numerator. We always move the term to the highest value, so we're going to move it up. So it's 1 minus negative 2, which is plus. So it's y cubed. We just have a 1 in the denominator. I actually don't have to write it. I wouldn't write it. Okay. Minus 3. This is going to be a like term because we have 5 is bigger than 2 in the denominator. 5 minus 2 is 3. And moving that y to the negative 3 to the numerator, it becomes y cubed. All right, this is not going to be a like term. We are going to move the x up so that we have 7 minus 4, which is cubed, but that y cubed stays in the denominator. So we can combine these terms. It's 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. X cubed, y cubed, plus 7, x cubed over y cubed. Next one, number 26. Number 26. All right, 26. I should have been writing the numbers on here, huh? A minus BA times A squared minus B. And A is negative 1/2. B is negative 1/4. All right. All right, so A is negative 1/2 minus B, which is negative 1/4, times A, negative 1/2, times, I'm going to move this, B to negative 1/4. I'm just going to remember it's negative 1/4. All right, when I square a term, I'm squaring the exact value that it is. So that's going to become positive, minus negative 1/4. All right. So the first term is just negative 1/2. Here I have 3 negatives. See, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be negative. I can go ahead and multiply those. That's negative 1/8. Because I can multiply A times B times C. I can multiply A times C times B. Any of those orders based on the commutative property of multiplication. Negative 1/2 squared is positive 1/4. Minus a negative is a positive 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and combine those because I can. So it's negative 1/2 minus 1/8 times, it's going to be 2/4, so I'm going to simplify it to 1/2. All right. So that's negative 1/2 minus 1/16. We need a common denominator. It's going to be 16. Multiplying that first term by 8 over 8. I end up with negative 8/16 minus 1/16, which gives me negative 9/16. All right, that's number 26. The very last one, number 28. Number 28. All right, 28 is negative 3 squared minus negative 3 cubed minus 1 over negative 2 squared. All right, this is the opposite of 3 squared. So that's negative 9. This is the opposite of negative 3 cubed. This is negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, which gives me negative 27 minus 1 over, this is the opposite of 2 squared, which is negative 4. All right, so it's negative 9. I have 2 negatives plus 27. I have 2 negatives plus 1/4. Combining these terms, it is 18 plus 1/4, and you can write that as an improper fraction.